Self-organization emerges from the urgency of doing collectively, assuming contradiction, and embracing complexity. It is the space of articulations between creative practices and collective processes to create common imaginaries in which other forms, other worlds, are possible. Self-organized initiatives seek to independently produce a field of autonomy, freedom, and experimentation. This collection of terms forms the starting point of an index on self-organization derived from conversations, observations, and readings with self-organized initiatives. Alternative. Art initiatives as alternatives to institutions or commercial galleries, either in opposition to them or in parallel within a cultural ecosystem. Ecosystem. Exchange. Experience is a form of expertise. Automobility. Autonomy in the art world poses a contradiction. The artist is mobile, moving between ways of working and relating. From the domestic space or studio in which ideas can develop, to peer groups of feedback and support, to the public or the market and back. To keep themselves going, they are dependent on each other and on networks of spaces, collectives, organizers. Art can be autonomous and the artist mobile only if that autonomy is enforced and guaranteed collectively. Interdependence. Cross-pollination.
Publishing is like one of the most powerful cross-pollinators that you can have because, I mean, publishing digitally, especially, is like so low resource usage in a lot of ways. Potentially has a very high reach and can also kind of hit on all of these markers of resource sharing within there. I mean, there is a sharing of energy, there is a sharing of information, there is a sharing of resources in terms of like actual instruction as to how to do things potentially, or as to what is happening. So I think that publishing is like super key to both cultural ecosystems and to this kind of notion of a cross-pollination through these sort of like different circular economies.
Feedback. Publishing. Self-organization is a form of publishing. To publish is to materialize, to make something public, to transmit something. A publication acts as an amplifier, a loudspeaker, a channel waiting for interlocutors that initiate an open and infinite chain movement, impossible to control. Care. Collective care sustains us, emotionally and existentially. Fragility. Precarity. The gift of autonomy comes at the price of precarity. Art workers navigate multitasking skills, flexibility in regard to working conditions, and readiness to pre-finance and self-fund some or most phases of their projects. It's like the survivor challenge of an action video game, where skills, a sense of timing, and general alertness to the main chance enables the protagonist to fend off threats and claim the prize. In return for giving up the tedium of stable employment, there is the thrill of proving yourself by finding out if you have what it takes. Remuneration. Most of the time, self-organization is not a breadwinner, but there is a need to come together, instead of falling into isolation and the individual war of each one against the death machine. Double roles. Artist-curator. Artist-activist. artist, graphic designer, artist, exhibitions guard, artist, web developer, artist, organizer, artist, fundraiser, artist, copywriter, artist, accountant, artist, moderator, artist, concierge, artist, lobbyist, artist, DJ. Resources, funding, networks.
Okay, I think it's impossible to name all the people that we exchange with, so it's not an exhaustive link. But for example, there is this, I call it Sister Cinema Collective in The Hague. What you see is what you get. And we got in touch, and we are very much, on the same level and the same vision. We talked with other initiatives. We talked a lot about, funding and how we should position ourselves. For example, in Maastricht, there's Video Power. And yeah, it also started as just connecting with each other without, having any needs or something. But then you kind of become friends as collectives. Like, who are you? You are like me. Let's be friends.
Scene. A social organizational form differentiated from the concepts the group, the category, the network, the subculture. Characterized by fluid working hours, high levels of mobility, hypercommunication and flexibility, and special interest in creativity and performance. Openings. Parties. Friendship.
So in the beginning, the first show, for example, was like, I was like telling my friends, hey, I want to start this. Then like a really good friend of mine was like, hey, I want to do the first show. And then, so that just happened like that. And then he made the show was called Small Girls, and he made some tiny paintings that he was baking in the oven. And so you have a show like this, or like just these very small paintings. And the program and like the result of the show was not really, just happened through friendship, I suppose. It's a bit like collaboration, like you want to collaborate, you have a good connection, or even you love somebody's work, you reach out. All of my friends, I think, were running like initiatives or something. I don't know, you stick with the people that are a bit similar, and then, yeah. We make shows with each other also.
Spontaneity. Collaboration. Maintenance. Installing toilets. Fixing cracks in walls. Collective maintenance. Personal investment. Secondary rent. Fire security. Noise complaints. Defending space. Bleeding radiators. Circumstances. Shut down. Since the beginning of this project, multiple initiatives that are included in it have lost their physical locations, mostly due to a precarity of space, such as eviction and anti-crack contracts. Donaweg 8, Mokum kraakt, Butu, Renene. Nomadic. Eviction. Solidarity.
And it's maybe also good about organization. So we don't have our physical space anymore, but then tonight we will have a meeting with Mokum Kraakt in the space of someone else. So this, self-organization is also like, it also involves solidarity with other groups, and that you say like, oh, you get evicted, but we have this huge mansion of this Russian oligarch. and use the space for your meetings, right? Or until you have another space. Maybe that's a difference with like how the let's say conventional art world functions, where it's often more rivalry, or it's like, oh no, this is our space, that's your space. Kind of shift away from the idea of owning the property.
Yeah, exactly. And that's also going into like how the squatting scene works in general, of like it not being competitive, in the sense of like we're not each other's enemies. We don't try to take stuff from each other, but we're each other's comrades, and like we have solidarity with each other. We're each other's friends, and there's heart in it, you know. And that's why how we can break free from that bureaucratic, systematic, capitalist, you know. And that gives so much freedom. And